You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, aspiring actors. With me, Louise, the artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And every week, I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid, working, unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready? Hello and welcome to the very first Unstoppable Actors podcast of 2023. So excited, cannot wait to dive into all things finally achieving your acting goals. Like, this year is going to be the year that you achieve your acting goals. We're not having this messing around, dawdling around with them, falling off track, then getting back on the bandwagon and then off it and then back on. No, we're going to stay focused this year. And I'm going to teach you how to do that in today's podcast episode. But before I do, I want to say thank you so much for listening. Whether this is the very first episode you've ever come across, or this is the 30th episode you've listened to, it doesn't matter. Thank you. I am truly, truly grateful that you tune in. I'm really excited because we've hit well over 7,000 downloads, and each week we're getting emails from our listeners, and it really puts the biggest smile on my face. So I got this one from Aileen. I hope I'm saying her name right. She's from Germany and she's been listening there, and she emailed in to say, I've been sick this week and I couldn't do anything. So I listen to your podcast episodes every day. You don't know how much they've motivated me to not let this dream go, no matter how ridiculous it may seem to others. You've taught me so much and I'm so grateful I found this podcast. Thank you so much. I was just like, oh wow, that is amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And I just had the biggest smile on my face ever when I read that email. And of course I emailed Aileen back to say thank you. But I absolutely love hearing from you. And I'm so glad that this podcast has been helping Aileen and many, many other people as well. So I would love to hear from you and how you're finding the podcast. You can drop me an email. My email is louise@standbymethod.com. And I could be reading your email on the next episode. And by the way, I just wanted to let you know that because we've surpassed 7,000 downloads, and obviously this podcast is very popular, you're going to be getting 2 episodes a week now. How exciting. So make sure that whatever place you're listening to this podcast on, please subscribe to it, and of course leave us a review as well, because it helps us spread the word and help more actors like yourself. And I really wish when I was first getting started with acting that there would have been a resource like this available to me, and there absolutely wasn't. And that meant I had to do loads and loads and loads of digging and searching, and oh my gosh, it took forever. So yeah, hopefully this podcast halves the time it takes you to find the information that you need and to actually get your acting goals, well, being achieved, really. That's the whole purpose of this podcast. So anyway, one of the problems that Aileen continued to tell me about in her email is that she didn't feel like her chances were very good with her living in Germany with her acting. So she wanted an intensive acting class but didn't feel like she could find one where she was. So I have put together a free 2-hour online method acting class in which we'll be diving into character development, and I am going to be teaching you 3 of the best method acting techniques for character development. It's on the 29th of January. Because it's online, even though it's online, it's practical. I'll still be teaching you. You'll be working with a script. You'll be working with a character. But because it's online, it means you can come to this workshop from anywhere around the world. So it's taking place 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. New York time. And I'm not sure about the rest of the world what time that will be. You'd have to look that up. But I really, really recommend you enroll in this class because it's 2 hours of your time. That is all it's going to cost you. It's not going to cost you anything financially. So if you want to join that, all you need to do is type in your search bar bit.ly/become the character in lowercase, or if you can't be bothered typing it in, just click the link which is directly underneath this podcast episode. So with that in mind, shall we crack on? Shall we jump into the episode? Shall we start figuring out how the hell you're actually going to make your acting goals happen in 2023, so it's not just another year where 12 months flies by and you're feeling frustrated that you haven't made the progress that you wanted to make at the beginning of the year? So let's dive in then. So most actors do start out with very good intentions, very, very motivated. The beginning of the new year can feel like one of those times where it's like, right, okay, it's a new energy, it's a fresh start, it's a new slate, new page, let's do this. And we can jump in with a hell of a lot of energy right in the very beginning. And then what eventually happens is we start to lose motivation, or we start to burn out because we've put a lot of energy in at the beginning, more than we normally do. And come February or March, we start to fall off the bandwagon with our goals. And of course, that doesn't mean that you don't stop thinking about your acting career, because you absolutely do. It takes up a lot of mental space, but what it means is that energy is going into your thoughts as opposed to action. So I don't actually want you to dive in with 1000% energy, because what we want is we want you to stay consistent throughout the year. We don't want you burning out in the beginning. You know, you've got to think that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And if you've ever ran a marathon before, any of you, I mean, I've not ran a full marathon, but I've run a half marathon. If you sprint for the first mile, you wear yourself out and you're exhausted, and then there's not much left in the tank for the other 12 miles. So we've got to see 2023 a bit like a marathon. You don't need to set off sprinting. Slow and steady wins the race. That's one of my favourite quotes, and I always remind myself of that. So actually, you want to start with a good energy, but not throwing yourself in there so much that you burn out quickly. Before we dive into this, and there's a lot, I've got a feeling this is going to be a long podcast episode, so I would recommend you download it. I think it's going to be one of those episodes that you'll want to keep coming back to again and again and again, because there's just going to be so much in it. But before you do anything, I want you to firstly just acknowledge, what were your acting goals last year for 2022? Did you even have any? If you didn't, that's okay. If you did you achieve them? Did you not? If you did, what made you achieve them? And if you didn't, what was it that stopped you? You've got to reflect back on 2022 before you can stand any chance of really completing your goals this year in 2023. So just to give you an example, if I think back on my 2022, well, I only relaunched my acting career in April, and I had some very specific goals. One was to get an agent, one was to expand my networks, one was to get 2 paid acting jobs within the first quarter of launching, and then I had lots of other goals in there as well. And I pretty much achieved all of them. The only thing I would have done differently, if I could have, would be short on the time that I achieved them. But I have to be honest with myself and realistic and say, do you know what? I had a lot of personal issues going on in 2022, and it made it very, very challenging. So I can look back objectively and go, okay, so the reason it took it took a lot longer for me to achieve them, and I didn't achieve them in a shorter time frame, is because I actually had to balance my energy between my acting career and between the personal issues. So if I look back on 2022, I'm actually really pleased with the progress that I made. And when I asked myself, well, why did I achieve these things then, despite the fact that I had all these personal issues going on? It's because I committed. And it's because I found a very strong motivation behind all of this, which was more than just, oh, I need to do it because I feel like it's my life's calling. I mean, that is a big, big motivation, don't get me wrong. But I managed to narrow that down and become even more specific with that, which I'll tell you later what that is. That made me get so clear and go, okay, I am not giving up on this. And I also said to myself, it takes as long as it takes. So I feel for me, 2022 has been a very good springboard into 2023. And now those personal issues are not quite over, but almost. I know I'm going to have more energy to put into 2023 with my acting goals. So that's the first thing I want you to do, is to reflect back on 2022. Now, you might not have achieved all of your acting goals. That's not your cue to beat yourself up. It's not your cue to be hard on yourself. It just does not serve a purpose at all. You need to be compassionate with yourself. You need to be objective and be honest with yourself about why you didn't, if you didn't, but not beat yourself up so much that you're going to take that energy into this year and continue to beat yourself up. Because when we do that and we put unnecessary pressure on ourselves, it just takes even more hard work to actually achieve what we want to achieve. Whereas when you're compassionate with yourself and give yourself grace, it's like, oh, okay, and you're a bit easier on yourself, and therefore you've got the space and the energy to make these things happen. So reflect first. Once you've reflected, before you do anything, you need to get super clear on what it is that you actually want to happen this year in 2023. You don't want to give yourself too many goals. When you do that, it becomes overwhelming. Your brain can't focus on one and you become a bit of a hot mess. And it's like you're just throwing anything at the wall and you basically wear yourself thin or spread yourself thin, sorry. I've given myself only 2 big acting goals for this year. Now, they are big acting goals. I'm not going to give myself any more than that because what I'm going to do is focus solidly on these 2 big acting goals, and then I'll create smaller goals underneath them that become the steps to get to those 2 big ones. I would recommend having no more than 3 big acting goals. Even 3, I feel for me personally, would be stretching myself a little bit too much. But you know yourself, you know whether you can handle 3 big acting goals or not. But I've given myself only 2 because I also know I've got a lot of stuff going on in my personal life and I need to be able to focus on that as well, and my acting goals. So that's why I've only given myself 2, and I'm 100% that I'm going to achieve these. There's no doubt about it. That's not being arrogant. That's me having absolute confidence in myself and making promises to myself that I am going to show up for myself and do what it takes to make these happen. So that's the next thing I want you to do. I want you to write down these big acting goals that you've got, because when you write them down, you actually increase the chances of making them happen. And then I want you to write a little statement or some sort of declaration underneath your goals that says, I promise that I will commit to these goals in 2023 and I will do everything within my power to make these happen. And then I want you to sign it and date it and then stick it somewhere that you can see it. When you do that, you are holding yourself accountable. And this is what happens when many people fall off the bandwagon and don't achieve their goals. It's because they don't have accountability. Now, for some of you, you're going to need external accountability. For some of you, you're going to find it quite difficult to self-motivate. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. There absolutely isn't. It's just how we're wired. And I'm one of those people who finds it difficult to self-motivate. Believe it or not, it might not sound like that, but I actually am. And I need external accountability. So that's what I've got myself for this year, to make sure that I have to say to someone, these are my goals for this month and this month and this month, and I have to show up and show them that I've been taking the action required to make them happen. So that might be something else to consider as well. Can you self-motivate? And if you can, brilliant. And if you can't, what can you do to overcome that? And what things can you put in place to ensure you are staying on track and that you don't trail off in February and March? So that's the first thing. Now, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to write down why these goals have to happen. This is going to be the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning and actually taking action on these goals. Now, for many of you, you're going to have a day job and that is going to take up a huge amount of your time and you're going to find yourself tired at the end of the day. But you've still got to take action on these goals. And yes, it's challenging. I want to acknowledge that it is challenging doing a day job, whether it's part-time, full-time, or whatever it is. And a day job could also include being a parent or a carer. You know, it is tiring. Of course it is. I'm not taking that away from you. But when you've written down why you want to do this and you've got the motivation so clear, that should hopefully help you go, okay, I'm going to make the time each week to work on my acting goals. And it doesn't mean you have to work like 40 hours a week on your acting goals, because that would be impossible alongside your daytime commitment. It could even be 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week, as long as you are making the commitment to do it. So write down why this has to happen. This will take these goals from being dreams in your head and start to put them into reality because you've actually written this down now. Why? Then the third thing I want you to do is I want you to create a mission statement. A mission statement it's the reason why you're doing this, but it's the bigger picture overall for your acting career. So it doesn't just feed into 2023, it feeds into the entirety of your acting career, which will hopefully be over your lifetime. Now, I am 1000% certain that being an actor is my life's path. I'm 1000% certain it's my life's work. I feel the drive inside, even though I need that external accountability. And that's because I've given myself a reason that is much bigger than myself to do this. And I love this reason. I love this mission. It's something I feel so passionate about. Now, to a lot of you, this is going to sound crazy. And I don't share this with everyone, which is a bit daft that it's not daft, but it sounds a bit crazy that I'm sharing it on a podcast, which is listened to by thousands of people from around the world. But my mission statement is to change the world one audience member at a time. Does that mean I can change all 7 billion people in the world over my lifetime? Probably not. but I can at least work towards changing the world one audience member at a time for the better if I commit to my goal. And that keeps me motivated because, as I've already said, it's something I'm really, really passionate about. Now, I've already started doing this. I did a performance last year at Hope Mill Theatre in Manchester, and oh wow, I absolutely loved this performance. It was a very, very challenging role, and I did all the stuff that I'll be teaching you in the free online character development workshop at the end of January. I did all of those exercises and did the performance, and then at the end of it, when I was out in the foyer bar area, there was random people coming up to me, like lots of random people coming up to me to say how much they love my performance. And I was like, oh, wow. So I'm even starting off on a small scale right now at this small theatre in Manchester. I've already started to change the world one audience member at a time because I'd left something with those people I must have done for them to come up to me. Now, this is not about ego and needing that positive feedback. This is about feeding into this bigger purpose that I've got with acting. So this is why I'm asking you to write a mission statement so you've got a bigger purpose. This will drive you when you're getting the constant rejections or you're having what you perceive as the constant failures. It will keep you passionate and on target and on track. And for me personally, I just feel so committed to this mission. I feel like I have to do it. I can't get to the end of my life having not tried with this. That's how much it means to me. So when you're writing your mission statement, make sure you're writing something that means something to you and it's not just random words cobbled together. So what we're going to do next then, so that's quite a lot so far, which is why I would definitely encourage you to download this episode and keep coming back to it because I feel like this is going to be a little bit overwhelming for you. But once you've got your 2 to 3 acting goals written down for 2023, what I want you to do now is work backwards. So this is what we call reverse engineering. So what are the steps that you need to take that are going to get you towards these 2 to 3 big goals? Now, this is probably going to sound a little bit crazy, but I actually only want you to focus on January right now. It's January the 3rd as I'm recording this, to the end of March. That's it. Because if we start thinking about the entire 12 months, we can start to feel very, very, very overwhelmed. And when we feel overwhelmed, that's when we stop taking action. So I want you to forget April to December. Just focus on January to March. That is known as quarter one in the business world, or as I like to call it, it's your first 90-day sprint of the year. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab some Post-it notes and you are going to write down all of the ideas you have for achieving those goals on Post-it notes. Now, you're going to write everything down, even if it sounds ridiculous. It doesn't matter. Just get it all down. Because what you can then do is you can look over everything once you've got everything written on these Post-it notes and go, oh, actually, no, that's not a very good idea. And that's not a very good idea. And you can get rid of them. But for now, just get everything down because writing everything down means you start to get into a state of flow. And once you're in a state of flow, more ideas will come. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing I want you to do is I want you to stick these Post-it notes on a wall and I want you to group them into what we call aspirational goals or aspirational tasks or process goals or process tasks. Aspirational means it's outside of your control whether it happens. Process means it's in your control whether it happens. So for example, an aspirational task or goal could be, I want a role in a TV drama. It's a little bit out of your control actually getting cast in that. But the process tasks or process goals that you could have leading up to that are things like getting headshots that fit in with that, starting to build out your networks, starting to connect with people who have been cast in the TV dramas you want to be in. So they would be process. So you're going to then group all of your Post-it notes into aspirational and process. So you will have 2 big columns on your wall, and this is going to help you see what you're actually in control of and what you're not. And then what you're going to do, you're going to group them further. So now you're going to divide up the aspirational side into January, February and March. You're going to then group up the process side into January, February and March. And you are going to leave these on your wall so you can see them every single day. And what you've then done is you've set out the exact action steps that you need to take for each month. Now, what I personally do, you don't have to do this, but I find it really helps, is I have an achievements jar. So every time I've completed one of these tasks off this post-it note, it gets taken off of the wall and it goes into the achievements jar. And then at the end of each month, I can open the jar back up and I can look through it, and it reinforces this idea that I am committed to my acting goals and my acting career. So if you want to do the achievements jar, you can. You don't have to. I find it really works for me. It may not for you. You might want to find some other way of getting this to work, but as long as you are reinforcing the idea that you actually are waking up each week and taking action on your goals, you know, then you're going to be more likely to keep going and keep going and keep going, because what we keep doing compounds. So if you want to take this further, we've got an amazing online course called the Business of Acting Bootcamp. You can have this for 3 monthly payments of £99. I've left the link to that below in the description. If you want further help with this, which goes even deep, I mean, we've gone into a deep dive with this in the podcast, but we go even deeper into it in the Business of Acting Bootcamp. So if you do want to enroll in that, which I do highly recommend, just click that link and then you can have it for 3 installments of £99. However, what I want to now share with you is that the biggest key in all of this that will determine whether or not you actually achieve these acting goals this year is your mindset. So I want you to ask yourself right now, where is your mindset at in this very moment that you're listening? Come the end of March, where is your mindset likely to be? Is it going to be in the same place? Is it going to be more elevated? Or are you going to be likely to be dipping into those self-sabotaging, limiting beliefs? And the final question I want you to ask yourself is, how can you actually ensure it stays on track to keep you thinking like an A-list actor and to keep you on track with your goals so you don't fall off the bandwagon, which I keep saying throughout this podcast episode? Now, one question you can ponder on to help you with this is, what does my future actor self require of me right now to meet these goals? And your future actor self is the person who has already achieved these acting goals that you've got. So if you imagine them right now, your future actor self, they've achieved all these goals you've set out at the beginning of this year, right now listening to this podcast, what do they require of you right now for you to be able to meet them? Hope that makes sense to you. We work a lot with the future actor self in our training at Standby Method Acting Studio, because it's important that we're always aware of why we're doing the training, why we're investing in ourselves, because we want to meet that future actor self. And that future actor self is the one who is successful. It's the one who you imagine being, you know, whether it's winning awards, earning a full-time living from acting, being in TV dramas or stage plays or whatever it is. That's them. So download this, definitely, because there is a lot in it. And as I've already said, I really feel you're going to need to keep coming back to this. But I want to end by saying thank you so much for listening. I hope it's been useful. This is the exact process that I use for setting and achieving my own acting goals. What I would love for you to do is either leave a review or rate the podcast, because it really helps us spread the word and help more actors like yourself. And if you remember in the beginning, I said when I was first getting started with acting, I really would have loved a resource like this. I spent countless hours having to research absolutely everything. So your reviews help other actors find us. So like with yourself, it helps you cut the time it takes you to start making progress with your acting dreams. And also go and enroll in the free character development workshop taking place on the 29th of January. The link to enroll is bit.ly, all in lowercase, / become the character, all in lowercase. And I'm going to be giving you 3 absolutely phenomenal method acting exercises that will instantly, and I promise you that, instantly improve your character work. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye! I have absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, aspiring actors. Now, if you did, I'd really love you to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave a review. And if you would like weekly injections of inspiration, you'd like mini method acting challenges to keep you making progress with your dreams, come and join the most supportive acting community online by clicking the link in the notes to help you become an unstoppable actor.